Hello, and thank you for your purchase. In this video, we will be covering the one-tab Family and Couple Budget Package. At the bottom of your screen, you'll find the Instructions and Setup tab and Budget tab. First, let's review Instructions and Setup. Here is where we'll find the initial setup and step-by-step instructions to our pages. To set up the spreadsheet, enter in the name of your accounts here and the names of your household members here. It is very important you do not delete the placeholders, just type over them. Otherwise, you'll need to start over with a fresh copy, as this will cause errors in your graphs. You're allowed up to 12 accounts and 6 household members. Let's enter in Bank of America over the account placeholder. Let's add another account to represent our cash on hand. We'll call it cash. Now let's add John and Jane as our household members. That's it for setup, nice and simple. Once you're done with your setup, you're now ready to start working on your monthly budget tab. In this section, we will review the budget tab for family and couples. If you've purchased the annual dashboard package, you'll have all 12 months available. Start at your desired month. Otherwise, the first tab is called Budget tab. First, let's review the sections of the tab, and then we'll start to plan out our budget. At the top, you'll find the month and year. If you purchase the monthly or one-tab packages, you can select the appropriate month. The year can be changed in all versions. To the right, you'll find your total income, total expenses, needs, wants, savings, and what you have left to budget, and what you have left to spend. Below are the charts, which will populate as we begin filling out our budget. We'll be able to see this soon. Here you can see the income summary table, bills, expenses, debt, subscriptions, and savings summary tables. Here is the financial summary table that auto-populates as we fill in our budget. It shows an overview of what you have planned to spend and earn for each category, and what you actually spent and earned. This table will also contain the rollover field. However, that's entered manually. Below is a distribution summary of your needs, wants, savings, and debts. And below is the financial insights summary table. Here you can track your spending habits for a specific date range. You'll see the household summary section, an area that breaks down each household member's income and expenses. Next to it is the transaction tracker. You'll fill in your transactions, and next to that is the account summary table and account transfer tracker. Below the accounts section is the spending summary table with a graph that will show you your top 20 expenses for the month. And finally, to the left is your daily spending summary. Now that we've reviewed all the sections of the sheet, let's go ahead and start planning out a budget. First, let's enter our current account information, scroll down to find the account summary table, and enter in the initial balance for that account. Here, we'll add the current balance for our Bank of America account, and here we'll add the amount of cash we have on hand. Notice the table below, the accounts transfer tracker. This allows you to transfer between accounts during that month. To transfer cash to our Bank of America account, we'll enter the date, select a transfer of cash to our Bank of America account, and then enter the amount you wish to transfer. Note how the balance of the Bank of America account increased and the balance of cash decreased. Next, let's scroll up and start working on our income summary table. We'll type in John's paycheck 1 here. Assign the individual as John. Type in the date and planned amount of income. The actual field will fill in automatically once we use the transaction tracker. Let's add another income for Jane's side hustle. Assign Jane as the individual, the date, and the planned amount. We don't have any rollover to account for, but if you did, you would enter it in the financial summary table here. Next, let's plan out our bills for the month. We'll start with rent. Enter the date the rent is due. Say our rent costs $900. And we'll assign this as a need since housing is a necessity. Let's add a phone bill. The due date. For the planned amount, we'll say $150 and assign it as a need. Now we'll move over to expenses and add grocery to the list. We'll plan to spend $500 for groceries. Assign the category as a need as well. Next, we'll add takeout. We'll plan to spend $150, but we'll assign this as a want. Lastly, we'll enter in debt payment for our student loan. Payments of $110 and assign this as debt. You'll keep doing this until you've listed all your income, bills, expenses, debts, subscriptions, and savings. Notice at the top, our graphs will begin to auto-populate as we fill in more data. Now that we've added income and planned out a few expenses, let's head down to the transaction tracker. First, enter the date of the transaction. Then select what transaction it is. In this case, we'll pick Jane's side hustle. You'll see the category will automatically be assigned as income. Next, we'll enter in the amount. Let's say $750. Assign which account it is depositing into. And finally, the individual. In this case, it's Jane. The description field can be used for any personal notes you might have. Let's add another entry, this time for grocery. Enter the date of the purchase. The amount will say $300. The account used for the expense. And the individual will select John. We'll add our phone bill. Select the date, the amount of $150, account used for the payment, and the individual. We'll say John again. Next, we'll enter our student loan, select the date, the debt payment is $110, the account used, and the individual will be Jane. Lastly, our takeout. Select the date. The amount spent was $70. The account used and the individual was John. Now that we have some data, let's review our dashboards. Scrolling up, you'll see an overview of your expenses. Next to it, the cash flow summary graph showing your planned budget for each category compared to your actual earnings and spending. Notice our planned amount for groceries was $500, but we actually only spent $300. The table will show you the difference between your planned and actual amounts. From there, you can see your needs, wants, savings, and debts section, which show your planned and actual spending. And finally, the balance overview chart shows your overall balance for the month. Now let's scroll down to the household summary section. Here you'll see the income and expenses of each household member. Below is a detailed breakdown of their category spending as it was entered on the transaction tracker. Finally, if you scroll over, you'll see the graph for the top 20 expenses begin to populate. As you fill in your transaction tracker, this will adjust and update. This concludes our review of the Month Budget tab. If you have any questions, please send us a message. Happy budgeting!